Hello, hello, hello. Hi everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tamara and I'm so happy to have you, those who are new and those who are not so new. If you've been here before, then you know what I do here. I talk about crime stories that took place in the Caribbean. So if that's what you're into, then what are you waiting for? If you find it very interesting, what are you waiting for? Or as we would say where I'm from, or where you wait for? Hit the notification bell so you will not miss when I upload a new video. With that being said, I have this crimey story that has so much moving parts. It's like the crime story that keeps on giving. And while researching, I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to start? But we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the story, all the way back, and it's going to take us to New York City. So grab yourself something to drink. I have mine as usual. And yeah, get comfortable and let's jump right into this crime story. So as I said, we're going all the way back to the beginning and it takes us to Brooklyn. Years ago, over 17 years ago, where 16-year-old Chanel Pedro Nixon, she disappeared. Now, Chanel was described as a very energetic, lovely, church-going young woman. On Father's Day on June 18th, 2006, she told her parents that, hey, Mom, I'm gonna go down to Applebees where I'm gonna meet a friend. So Chanel went and she met her friend at Applebees. Well, so her parents would believe. But Chanel did not return home and her family began looking for her. 4 days later, as the garbage collectors were collecting the garbage, they found that the trash was unusually very heavy. And so a resident of that building, he decided that he wanted to search the trash to make sure that everything was okay. He was just curious, I think. And upon opening the bag, he found a female body inside of the garbage bag. Now, if you're guessing and you guessed that it was the body of Chanel Pedro Nixon, then you guessed correct. It was revealed that that was the body of Chanel Pedro Nixon, and autopsy also revealed that she died as a result of being strangled to death, and it was also revealed that she was hit constantly across her face and in her head. Now, who would have wanted Chanel dead? This sweet, beautiful, church-loving young lady. Who would have wanted her dead? She had no known enemies. I mean, she was just 16 years old. Police began investigating. They wanted to know who was this person that she was going to meet at Applebees, because apparently that person would be the last person who would see her alive. It turned out that that person would be Veron Primus. Chanel's friends and family, they asked him if he knew where Chanel was because she told them that she was going to meet Veron. She did tell them that was a person who she was going to meet. And so when she did not return home and she disappeared, they called him and they asked him if he knew where she was. He said that he had no idea where she was and he was at Applebee's waiting for Chanel and she did not show up. He said that he called Chanel and she did not answer the phone and she did not call him back. So he had no idea what happened to Chanel. Now, do we believe Veron? I don't know. It is possible that Chanel could have been attacked and murdered and placed in the garbage bag and was unable to make it to Applebee's to meet up with her friend Veron. That's a possibility. So because Veron is the last person, or is suspected to be the last person to see Chanel alive, he was considered a person of interest in her murder case, but police could not find any physical evidence to link Veron to the murder of Chanel Pedro Nixon. Now, fast forward years later, Veron was charged with the sexual assault of 2 women, but he was acquitted of those assaults. But then a third woman, she came forward and she claimed that Veron tried to hold her against her will, and she had a protection order placed against him. Veron, he violated that protection order and he landed himself in prison. Then in May of 2015, Veron was then released from prison and he was deported back to his home country, the country of his birth, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he came back to St. Vincent and settled back into the slow-paced life of St. Vincent. Very, very slow-paced compared to that of New York City. I am sure that persons were unaware of his past run-ins with the law in New York. Because most times when persons are deported back to the Caribbean, they're not very honest and truthful about why they were sent back to their home country. Most times they lie. Not too long after being deported back to his home country and now living in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Veron, he reconnected with his old friend that he knew from primary school. Her name is Moana Hathaway, and they reconnected and started dating. She claimed and she stated that Veron was such a very, very nice man. He was kind. He was a person she could talk to and tell her problems to, and he would listen to her. And I am thinking, looking at the pictures of Veron, he's a very, very handsome man. He just looks like he knows how to charm women. Like he just looked very handsome and just charismatic, charming, and just like a normal man. But as we would find out later on, he is not so charming. A few months into dating, Moana stated that Veron began attacking her with knives. He became very violent towards her and he attacked her on multiple occasions. It even got so bad that she filed a police report. After she filed that report, Veron did keep distance. He stopped harassing her for a while and they went their separate ways. Until New Year's Day, January 2016. He began texting Moana and telling her that he had something for her and that she must pass to his home to collect what he had for her. Now I'm thinking, if you're afraid of this man and he has attacked you so many times on so many multiple occasions with knives and he was so violent against you that you had to file a report, then wouldn't it be wise that if you're going to visit his home, that you would take somebody with you and you would not go by yourself? I mean, I think that's what most people will do. But then again, there are those people who would think that, okay, he is violent, but he is not that violent. He would not go that far. There are certain things that he probably would not do. While he might attack me with a knife on multiple occasions, that's probably the furthest it would go. He would not go beyond that. And so Moana, she went to his house on the 1st of January. She went to his house in Vermont, and while she was there, I guess they chatted up for a bit and she was ready to go. While she was leaving or trying to leave, Veron was blocking her from leaving and she could not leave. Veron, he locked Moana in a small room and he told her to take off all of her clothes. I mean, I could just imagine what she was thinking in that moment. Is like, okay, what's going on? Well, what's going on is that Veron was kidnapping Moana and he was going to keep her there against her will, keep her captive. Moana, she begged and she tried to escape through a window, and he told her, hey, if you try to escape, I am going to kill you. He threatened her. He even showed her a grave that he dug in the yard and said, this is where I'm going to bury you if you try to escape from here. While all this is going on, Veron's aunt lived upstairs, but she was unaware that someone was being held there against their will, right in her own home. Now, days turn into weeks, and weeks, they're turning into months, and Moana is there, and she is begging and pleading every day for Veron to let her go. Like, please, let me go. Let me go home. I have to go and see my son. I have to see my mom, my family. Just let me go. He was not having it. He did not want to hear it. And you may be asking then, well, where is her family? Why is nobody looking for her? Why hasn't there been a missing person report? Why isn't the police looking for her? Why isn't there a bulletin somewhere stating that Moana Hathaway is missing, and if you've seen her, call the police? Well, Veron, being the smart, experienced psycho that he is, he used Moana's phone to contact her family, and he pretended that he was Moana, talking to her family, telling them that she was okay and that she went to Antigua. He also forced Moana to send voice note to her family so that it would all seem natural and it would all seem normal and authentic. That they would think, okay, well, yes, we're talking to Moana. She's not in any danger. She is okay. She's just in Antigua. Now, I'm thinking, did her family have any suspicions as to what's going on with Moana? Why would somebody just up and then text you and say, hey, I'm in Antigua? Why? She had a son. Then who did she leave in charge with her son? Why did she not have this conversation with anyone before she left to go to Antigua? Isn't that just weird that she has a child, she just up and say, hey, I'm in Antigua, but she had no conversations with anyone before leaving to go to Antigua, as in to say, okay, well, can you please help me take care of my son while I go away? And did the question when she was coming back, how long are you staying in Antigua? What are you doing in Antigua? Why did you go to Antigua? What's the purpose of your travel to Antigua, Moana? I mean, I wondered if her family members, if they asked the right questions and if they had any suspicions. Maybe they did, and maybe they just trusted what she was saying. They trusted her words, and yeah. But it's just unusual to me that it seems as though they had no suspicions and they just believed that she was in Antigua, because up to the point, nobody was looking for her. Nobody knew that she was being held captive in a dungeon by her ex-boyfriend. But Moana had a plan. She was not giving up. She had a plan. She really, really wanted to get out of there. And she really thought that at some point, I believe that she thought that at some point, Veron is probably going to kill her. And she just really, really needed to get out of there. So she never gave up, despite being threatened. She never gave up hope, and she never gave up trying to plan her escape. And finally, the day came when she would be able to come up with this brilliant plan and try to execute the plan. One day, Veron was cooking in the kitchen, and out of fear that Moana would try to escape, he had her sit in the kitchen so that he could have eyes on her and watch her to make sure that she was not doing anything that he did not want her to do, as in trying to escape. So he was in the kitchen cooking, and he left, went outside to wash some pots. While he was out there, Moana took the opportunity to write a note and place it inside the insulin box, because a caretaker would normally come to give Veron's aunt her insulin. And she knew that the insulin was being placed in the fridge and that the caretaker would come eventually to give Veron's aunt her insulin. So Moana wrote this note, and the note stated, I am here all the time. Get help. She wrote that note and she placed it in the insulin box and put the box back into the fridge. I think she was probably, well, I believe that she was probably nervous, just trying to write it down quickly, put it back in the box, fold it, and put it strategically. Ooh, I believe that she was trying to be very strategic about it, place it where she know that the lady would find it as soon as she opened the box. And her heart probably was pounding out of her chest, just thinking, okay, what if he comes in quickly and find me trying to write this note and put it in the box? I could just imagine it's like very, very tense. But nevertheless, she got through to do that. She placed the note into the box and she left it there. And then it was just a waiting game from then on. She was waiting and waiting to see, or for the day when the lady would come and find her note in the box and to see what would happen. And eventually that day came. She found the note and she called the police. The police showed up. Surprisingly, when the police showed up, Moana told the police that her name was Kimberly and that she was okay. She was not kidnapped. She was not being held against her will, and that she was fine. Now, why would she do that? Well, if you're guessing that Veron told her to do so, then you're correct. I think she was probably so, I could just imagine, like, you're there, you want to be free, you had this brilliant plan. The police is there and then you lie. And you're putting your own escape and freedom into jeopardy. That must have been something, huh? Now, as the police was about to leave, because now they have no reason to arrest Veron and they have no reason to take Moana away from the home, they were about to leave. But the caretaker who was there and who found the note, she told them, she was like, don't go. That's not Kimberly, that's Moana. And she's being held here against her will. So you need to stay and sort this out. I mean, she did not say that like that, but that's just me putting it how I think it is. So the police stayed and they questioned Moana and she admitted, yeah, okay, I am Moana and I'm being held here against my will. I've been here for the past 3 months and you need to take me away from this man. So they took Moana to freedom. They took her away from that dungeon that she was living in for the past couple months. That horrible place that she would probably have to be remembering for the rest of her life. And they charged Veron with her kidnapping. Now, Moana, she would connect Veron to the murder of Chanel Pedro Nixon, that beautiful young lady that started this whole case. Moana stated that Veron showed her the news article of Chanel. Now, why would he do that? Why would he show her just a random news article of something that happened years ago that had nothing to do with him? Or so he claimed. I mean, I think he was trying to send her a message without actually saying it or without actually sending her the message, if you know what I mean. I think he showed her and I think that he wanted her to believe, okay, he committed the crime. This is what happened to this young girl. And if you don't do what I want you to do and what I tell you to do, this is what could possibly happen to you. I think that he was trying to play with her mind and have her believe that, yeah, this could happen to you. Because I don't understand, if he's not involved and he have no connection to the case, it's years ago, why just show it to her? Why show it to her? Why? It's just unusually weird that someone would do that. Like just pull up an article and say, hey, read this, look at this. What's the purpose for that? Investigators from New York City, they flew down to talk to Moana and to interview Veron. Because this case, the case of Chanel Nixon, it remained open. And investigators, they constantly try to put the pieces together and try to figure out what happened to Chanel Pedro Nixon. While interviewing Moana, she told investigators that Veron told her that he did not commit the crime, but he knew who did. I bet he knew who did. And that's another weird thing to say, because if that was your friend, you knew her from church, she was supposed to meet you at Applebees. If you had any idea of what happened to her, why not give investigators, why not give them this information? And there was also a reward that was given during that time. I don't get it. And that was his friend. Remember, they were supposed to meet up. They knew each other from church. And her family also knew Veron. So why not help them? Why not say what you know? Or give them the information that you have? The investigators, they also spent about 45 minutes interviewing Veron, and they try to sort out their options as to how they can get him extradited to the United States so that he could face some charges connected to the death of Chanel Pedro Nixon. I would love to tell you that this is the end of the story and Moana, she was freed. Veron was thrown in prison for her kidnapping. But this is a case that keeps on giving. And tune in to part 2 to find out what evidence and what crime he was connected to based on the evidence that was found in his home. In the meantime, I would love to discuss this case with you. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Now, do you think that Veron is connected or had any connections to the murder of Chanel Pedro Nixon? Do you think that he showed Moana the article for a specific reason? Do you think that he was trying to intimidate her without actually saying anything? Or do you think it was very wise for Moana to go to Veron's home in Vermont by herself, given the history that she had with him and that he was very violent towards her in the past, attacking her with knives? Do you think she was very wise to do that? Or do you think that she thought he would not take it that far and her being kidnapped by Veron was like the furthest thing from her mind? She did not think that he would go that far. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Stick around for part 2.